A little about me. I'm Allan Berger. I'm a business architect and strategist. I'm an accredited business advisor. I've been a member of the chamber for more than 10 years, and I'm a volunteer chamber leader and also a SCORE mentor. If you want to learn more about me, please visit my website and or my LinkedIn profile. So here's our agenda for today. What we're going to be talking about are what the current situation we're all living with today, where you can find hidden capabilities within your business, how to narrow potential revenue streams and identify which one is the best, and then how to determine what additional resources you need in order to make that happen, because this is not a one-person process. And finally, how to implement the most likely revenue stream to now create an additional product offering to what you currently do. We're not talking about replacing stuff, we're talking about adding stuff. And at the end of this, there'll also be Q&A for any additional questions. I'm going to ask you at certain periods of time to raise a thumb on the video portion to tell me that we're ready to move ahead on a slide. And also, I'm going to ask you to take out a piece of paper and a pencil, because I'm going to ask you some questions that I'd like you to write down the answers to. But in addition to that, write down some notes about what we talk about so that you can use them subsequently and potentially within the presentation. So these are the questions that I'd like you to answer. So they're real hard questions. They're yes and no. So here's what I'd like you to do. Here's the first 4 questions. And what I'd like you to do is just on your piece of paper, just write down the word yes or no. Okay? Everybody see the questions? And when you're finished with this screen, just give me some thumbs up. That will tell me that it's now time to move on. And I apologize because I can't see you on my main screen. So Kaylee, if you see a bunch of thumbs up, then I'll know that we're ready to move on to the next set.
I'm looking through now, and for the people with faces, I'm seeing some thumbs up.
Great. So here's the next 4 questions. Again, give us a thumbs up, please, when you're finished. Ready to go?
One moment. Anyone else thumbs up?
Yep, great. See it?
Beautiful.
Good. Okay, yep. And here's the last 2 questions. Okay, if we're done, let me know.
Good, good. All right, I'm seeing some thumbs up. Wonderful.
Great. Okay, so let me now look at what you just wrote down on your piece of paper. If you answered no to any of the previous questions, has this given you some food for future thought? And if it has, great, then the rest of the presentation is geared to helping you with that food for thought. Now, as we know, change is constant. Markets, customers, and the economy, everything's being changed by COVID-19. Now, these are things that are going on constantly anyway, even if we didn't have COVID-19. But the bottom line is just they're all converging at once. We're all looking at outside and going, okay, now what? This is a life-changing event for all of us. And one of the challenges that we have is what do we do with this time and how do we use it to our best advantage going forward? So part of it is really about thinking through the fact that, you know what, these are the same challenges we have all of the time with our companies. We want to continue to grow. We're always looking for new customers, and we'd like to figure out a way to do more business with existing customers. And the typical responses are, okay, I changed my pricing. I promote more. I network with more people. I call a bunch of people and customers and prospects and say, hey, what's going on? You know, can we help? Those are typical things. But there are other options. And the other options are things like We could change our products. We could develop new services. Excuse me. We could use different sales channels, and we could develop new markets for our existing products. Now, these things take more time and effort, clearly, than the other. But this is an opportune time when we are less than fully occupied to really think through what can we do to change our businesses for the better going forward. So part of this is every business has these particular areas that they have to work with. They have a certain amount of financial resources. They have expertise. They have existing processes in place. They're using technology, and they have products and services that they've already created. Now, that's the sum total of what your business looks like today. However, part of what I'm going to focus on today is not the financial resources piece, because that becomes a piece of the puzzle going forward, but not the subject for our conversation today. I'm going to focus about how to look internally at your expertise, your processes, your technology, and your products and services. So let's talk about these hidden revenue streams. And previously I talked about specific customer services. Previous customer solutions that you've developed specifically for an individual customer. But there's another thought to consider. You've hired a number of employees, and they've turned out to be good employees, but you hired them for specific skills. But by the way, they may have other skills that you hadn't thought about using because they weren't applicable when they were hired. But they may have other talents that you can be using going forward. Case in point, a younger employee might be hired to be doing operations, but conceptually they could conceivably doing your social media posts. I know a dentist very well who has used his dental hygienists to do his Facebook posting. It's something they weren't hired to do, but it's proving to be very valuable. They like it. It's fun for them, but at the same time, it's good for the company. Everybody's installed technology to some extent, whether it's to improve their business, put in a new set of capabilities, whatever it is. But you know what that happens, and I'll bet you all agree with me, is that whatever technology we install has more capabilities than we're currently using, because we installed it to solve a specific problem. But in point of fact, every piece of technology has more functions and features that we never looked at before. Maybe now is the time to start looking at that. And you've developed internal processes. And so part of the internal processes is can they be used in a different way? And I'll give you some examples of that. So one of my clients is a project management solutions provider. And by that I mean, what they do is that they do project management training to teach project managers how to be more effective in managing their teams. The interesting thing about it is one of their customers asked them to develop some measure of the productivity of the project managers and the project teams. And they developed a web application to do that. Well, what we did was we worked with them to say, okay, that's a customer solution, it's great. That may be an additional product you could offer to other customers, which they did. They turned that into an additional product other than the training they do. But in addition to that, they developed a survey, an industry survey, where they went out to other other companies who have project management teams and asked them to respond to the survey. They started compiling the information, and what it became now is a survey that they publish, which raised their visibility as a thought leader in that area. So part of this thing is, how do you use the unique solutions that you've done for customers? Well, one of the ways you can figure that out is ask your customers how that solution worked out for them. And then you can think about this internally and it's not only you, but it's your team members, determine how it can be offered to other customers, and then identify the sources to turn that from an idea into a product, and then integrate that within the additional services or products that you offer. So let's see how this can work for you. So here's where I'm going to ask you to take your paper and pencil handy and start making some notes. So again, the same thing I'm going to ask you to do is thumbs up after you've written these things down. First question is, just write down the products and services you sell today. And when you've done that, raise your thumb and Kayla will tell me it's time to move to the next slide, but take a couple of minutes to do that. So I'll give you a thought about how one of our clients did that. They were a web design company. They are a web design company. And one of the challenges they were facing was that 50% of their revenue was coming from one service that they offered to their largest client. But that client kept coming back to them and asking them to do specific things for them. And then we recognized too that over a period of time, the use of the internet has changed dramatically. They started off as a web design firm, but now integrated other if you will, virtual marketing techniques to become a virtual marketing agency, which now takes all of these different products and moves them together so that now they've got integrated solutions that are more than just static websites. In the process of that, they took one client who did more than 50% of their business to now that client does less than 30% of their business because they've got other clients using those same services that they developed for the individual client. So is everybody, we have a thumbs up on this screen?
Anyone thumbs up? We good? I'm looking now. I'm seeing some thumbs up.
So here's the next thing I'd like you to write down. Have you sold different products or services to the same customers? And if they have, write down think about, some key clients that you have and what products or services have you sold to that customer? Because what I'm going to ask you to do a little bit later is think about, there are certain, when somebody buys something from you, it's because it satisfies a specific need. But many times we don't go back to that same customer with suggestions for other services that we have to offer. Those other it's so much easier to sell an additional product or service to the same customer than to try and find new customers. But you have to be doing both. And give me a thumbs up on this one too when you're done. Thanks.
Seeing some thumbs. We good?
Okay, so now that you've thought about what you've sold to different folks, now here's another question. What additional products and services could you sell to the same customer? So now I'm going to ask you to think about the customers that you sold one thing to. And how could you sell additional things? And let me give you another example. We have a client that develops medical device, is in the medical device development business. And one of the things that they had to do in order to do that effectively was put together an internal software quality control system. Well, over time, what's happened is that their clients have asked them to take that and help them develop internal quality control systems. So that is now a new service that they offer and a whole new revenue stream that didn't exist before. again, here we're just using things we've done internally, and now we're turning these into products or services that can be offered to our clients. And it didn't require an awful lot of additional expense in order to make that happen. Again, give me some thumbs ups.
Thumbs up, thumbs up.
Great, great,
Wonderful.
great. Thanks, Kylie. Cool. Now, as we talked before about technology, you know, we're all installing new technology, and I've got to believe, I know it for myself, and I'm sure it's with everybody else, that every time you install a piece of software, you install it, but you know what? There's always other capabilities the software is capable of, but you don't have the time to research it and think about how it can be used. I'm going to give you an example of that. Many of you have installed a customer relationship management system, CRM. Now, CRMs are great for tracking business to customers. They're also great at tracking the sale from its inception through its end. Many of these CRMs have an additional capability where you can load your products and services in as a set of different products you can offer to the same customer. Many of them have also developed the capability that when you bring up a specific customer, it can now suggest other products and services that are in that catalog of offers, and now display to your salespeople when they're talking about or planning to talk to a specific customer, to give them some ideas of new things that they can talk about. So I'm asking you, think about the technology you personally have, and now, are there features that it has that you haven't looked at? And if there are features like that, write down, you know, give yourself an action item to go look and see what those potentially could be. So when you've written a few things down, raise your thumbs. And Kylie, let me know when that's happened.
Looking out for the thumbs. I'm seeing a couple.
Great. Okay. Cool. So here's where we talk about what I'm going to ask you to think about is, can what you've written down now generate an idea for a new product or service? So I'm going to ask a question of a couple of people and who I know have used and done these kinds of things in the past to share their experience with us. Tommy Hilkin, what's your new revenue idea that you've been talking about?
Here, Tommy, I can unmute you. Just give me one moment. Hold on. Come on. There we go.
I think we're good. Hi, everyone. And Allan, as always, thank you. Allan is the guy when I need advice, and I need an advisor. For years since I met him, he's always been helpful to me. So when I feel stuck, I turn to Allan. And one of the things, you know, I'm a live person, I'm an event person, so I need to be in front of people, and I can't be in front of people right now. So it was kind of challenging for me. So I had a discussion with Allan, and we decided we were going to come up with things to take my skills and talents and how I could put them online and do some virtual training. But my thinking was, there's no way I can do this. Public speaking, presentation skills is a live thing. And we decided that we were going to train and educate online and have people send me a video which I could evaluate and then coach to improvement. So I would have never thought that way. You know, it's like they always say, you know, think out of the box. And my question is, why are you in the box in the first place? So I had to get out of that box, and really Allan helped me discover that presentation skills training can be done online. It just has to be done in a different way. And I thank you for that, Allan.
And thank you, Tommy. I couldn't have done this presentation without you, and your insights, although I know how to present, greatly improved how I present. And that's what Tommy's skill set allows him to do exceptionally well. John Coleman, I remember years ago you had put together a great program for utilities. And it was about how you can monitor the need, if I remember right, for additional resources during storms when you have to call in resources that are outside of the utility company needs to have other utility companies provide resources to help them respond to a product or some kind of a weather event or something of that nature. Now, I believe, given what you guys do for a living, that's just one of the things that you guys have been very creative about. John, can you share any others?
So we would have to unmute them. Who exactly do I need to unmute?
John Coleman.
John Coleman. John Coleman, are you on this call?
He was. I saw him initially.
Let's see. I'm afraid that I am not seeing him on the list.
Oh, maybe
unless he's on the phone and it's not labeled.
Okay, he was on the video initially. But all right, irrespective of that, if John's not available, has anybody else on this call want to share an idea that they are looking to do and or an idea that they've already done that gave them an additional product or service?
Please.
So if you have, I'd love to hear it. We'd love to hear it, not just me.
Please comment in the chat if you'd like to say something and I can unmute you. Let's see. It looks like a lot of people are looking for other CRM options. All right, Tommy, I will unmute you.
Oh, that's interesting.
All right.
Triggered something, didn't we?
All right, so we have Tommy again.
Alan, I know I talk a lot, so I'm going to be brief, but Claire and I had a discussion yesterday, creating a new product for when things open up. I'm also thinking that way, not what I could do now, but when things open up, a new program, new product we're going to create and put a new product up on my website that when things open up, I'm still thinking that, you know, people are going to get together and I hope it's sooner than later, but we're creating new products for the future as well.
And that's what we're going to be talking about, because what we're doing, thanks, Tom, because what we know is in order to do this right, it's not something we do quickly. It's something that we do, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit further, starting with the next slide, but it's really about how do you make this happen? You take this new idea and turn this into a new product or service. Mm-hmm. So Kaylee, if there aren't any other...
Sharon would like to comment. I can unmute you, Sharon.
Please do. Please do.
All right, Sharon.
Hi, everyone. It's me. I'm here. I'm dressed. I have makeup on, so put on my screenshot. But
hi,
anyway, hi. How are you, Alan?
Good.
Everyone. I had actually started a virtual styling service before this whole event came on. For those of you who don't know me, I do professional wardrobe consulting. So I really am just focusing on marketing that more and trying to do, all my services, including shopping, styling, and actually the wardrobe edit, going through someone's closet in their home online. So that is so that's my plan, because there's no reason that you can't. It's just, adjusting the in-person process to doing it online.
One of the things that occurs to me that really could be a great part of this is you going around asking those folks to go around with a cell phone camera and show you what's in their closet.
Yes, exactly. And just having a mirror handy. So I think, that applies to a number of different services that people on the call offer, just to think about how you can adjust your in-person service to doing it on, online or a video call.
And one of the things is that business is changing completely. Look at the video calls we're on. How many of us were on video calls to the extent that we are today before COVID? I believe this is a permanent shift and allows us to have additional products and services that we can think about which incorporate video. So this is one of those ideas that, like with any major issue that we face, that's a life-changing issue like COVID or 9/11 or whatever, there are new products and services that will evolve from this because of us being forced to get into something different. But it's not about giving up what you did. It's about doing it differently. Any other thoughts?
All right, thank you, Sharon.
Anybody else?
I have Jay Wiseman.
Great, Jay.
Jay, I'm going to unmute you. Hold on one moment. There you are. All right.
Hey, Allan and everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we sure can.
All right, good. So it's funny that you mentioned video and that whole thing, because that's actually what, one of the things I've been doing. I've been intrigued for a little while now. As many of you know, my main business, or a large part of my business, is working with nonprofit boards and helping them in community outreach. And so I've been exploring for about a month now some technologies that allow folks to embed videos into emails and social media posts and things like that. And been thinking about how to introduce that as a service to help nonprofits step into that whole process and adapt and adopt to that. So it's and surprisingly, I've had a number of folks just actually express interest. So it just seems like something that is the time is right. So I put together a coaching offering around that. But what I've been doing is offering through the nonprofit chamber cohort, et cetera, opportunity to pilot this with me. Providing my services pro bono and sort of inviting the nonprofits affiliated with the chamber to really co-create this with me and experiment and create a offering which I suspect will have great legs and be kind of evergreen.
You know, I think that's a great idea, Jay. And one of the things that I've recognized from the work that we've done with other clients is that the idea is fabulous. Now, what it does, what your ultimate client is going to want to know is not that only that they can do it, but how to do it. And part of it be that you put together a product that not only shows them what they can do, but you provide the service to install it so that it can be used.
Yeah, so in my case, I don't necessarily want to install it, but I do want to help them think through the goals and intended outcomes, the usage models within the organization, because there's a number of those. Talking about things like organizational readiness and how they prepare an organization. For example, allowing board members, this is something that could be very easy for a board member just to go and do on their own, right? So to your point, it's about messaging, best practices, organizational readiness. So there's, it's just like anything else. If you're going to help a client adapt and do business in a new and potentially improved way, there's a change management process that you can help them with as well. And I think that's very much to your point.
Great. I really appreciate your input, Jay. I think that's a great idea. Is there anybody else, Kaylee, who has raised their hand?
There is one more that I saw in chat. I see Claire Stoddard. Jay, I'm going to mute you.
Oh, great.
Thank you so much. And Claire,
Cool.
I'm going to find you and unmute you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Hi, Allan. Hi, everybody. I'm really glad to be here. I feel like I'm with you, more or less. So, as many of you know, we're messaging strategists. We're writers, copywriters. We work with companies on their business, writing websites and landing pages and things like that, which we love. I'm a writer. I love to write. Sometimes if you're really, really lucky, your business takes you to where your heart is. And something has just opened up for me, which I really want to explore and expand upon. I know the administrator of an assisted living facility in Riverdale, New York. So on the phone with her with stuff, and there's amazing things going on in the assisted living and nursing care facilities. It's very, very difficult. And I said, gee, maybe when this all you know, maybe I'm trying to think of something I could do for them. And I said, well, maybe when we can all come back together, maybe I can come out there and do a writing workshop for your guests. And she jumped on it. And to make a long story short, what we're going to do is I'm going to do a Zoom writing workshop for the guests and staff at this assisted living facility. And then when we can all come together, they want to open it up for their community and bring people in live. And I said, oh, I'll just do this, you know, as a volunteer. I mean, they want to pay me. And I thought, well, wouldn't that be a wonderful product or service to put together a series of writing workshops for assisted living or people who have to. I so believe in writing expressively. I mean, I think it can change lives. And I have to figure out how to do it, but to bring it into some of these facilities, have a Zoom offering, maybe sometimes I go in live, but it's something that it's fallen into my lap, and it's something that I love, and I'm hoping to make a service out of it.
You know, it's not, I can think of an extension of that. There are many folks who live in over 55 communities and who want to document their personal history.
Yes. Sorry, yes.
And they don't know the how.
Oh, I can so help.
Well,
yes.
There's the thought.
Okay, and that's perfect. That's a perfect extension. I love that. Yes. So anyway, that's what I'm hoping to be able to do.
So I'm sure that it can be done, and now it takes some work, right? So yes. My next question is, how do you make it happen? And so, anybody know the answer to this question? Kaylee, if you have a thumbs up from anybody, I'd love to hear their answers.
I'm seeing a thumbs up from Kathy. Kathy, did you want to comment? You can nod or shake your head, it doesn't matter. I can unmute you. Would you like that? Give me another thumbs up if you want me to unmute you. Yes? Okay.
Yes. Hi.
Wonderful.
I've actually been thinking a lot about this myself with this, and like you suggest, Allan, look at your skill sets and how they can be possibly reimagined for different customers. I've come up with several ideas in the past month. One of them was something that I've been throwing around for a while. Now I have the chance to work on a little bit more. And the other is something that is entirely new based on the amount of time that we are all spending on computers. So we're building off of Claire's idea. I'm developing a project or a product where I can create video reminiscences, essentially, for people that are living in assisted living centers or in over 55 that want to create a more interactive set of memories that they can share with family members. I think that's something that I can do, and that and that would work very well going forward. Or also work with materials that the person has that I could organize into a video as well. That's one idea that I have. And it involves a certain amount of writing and a certain amount of scripting. But those are all other ways to think about what I do.
Kathy, that's an interesting idea. There was a recent 60 Minutes segment on an organization out of California that does that, but they record it in a way that can be used as an interactive presentation to audiences after the fact, after the person passes away.
Excellent.
It was fascinating to see that people had actually passed away, but they had while they were alive, they asked them every conceivable question they could and recorded that information. And when somebody comes on after the fact, they can ask those questions, and through artificial intelligence, they can actually provide an answer in that person's words to do that. I thought it was fascinating technology.
That is an interesting idea, Alan. Well worth taking another look at.
Absolutely. Al, I'm sorry, I just want to give you a 5-minute warning because it is 12:40.
Yep.
So, all right,
Yep.
but thank you, Kathy.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
Great.
thank you.
Okay, so we're going to need to move on. So the answer to this question, what's next, is, hey guys, you got to develop a plan. This doesn't happen overnight. What you want to do is think about what you want to launch, when you want to launch it, and then who needs to be part of the resources needed and the team to put that into reality. And as a byproduct of that, what needs to be done. So essentially what you're doing is developing a plan that focuses on when you want to do it, what you want to do, when you want to have it done, and who do you need to make it happen, and what action items do you need to take in order to make that happen. So essentially, there's a set of a logical process you can use, and it really goes into these steps. Identifying a project manager, selecting a project team, because generally speaking, that team is going to involve not only you, but other people, whether they be internal to your organization or external to your organization. But one of the things you want to do is you want to set a target launch date so everybody's on the same wavelength, and identify major milestones that you have to achieve in order to make that happen. And then within each milestone, what action items do you have to do, or does the team have to do to make that happen? And then assign specific action items to specific people, and establish a set of completion dates for each action items. At the end of each milestone, review the progress and repeat steps 5, 6, and 7 until that project becomes a reality. It's not hard. It's just the fact that to do it quickly, you may miss some of the milestones. And my recommendation is think it through, because none of the things happen quickly. Whenever you think you're going to launch it, it's guaranteed it's going to take longer because there are things you didn't think about. But as you break it into milestones, now you can pause periodically and say, okay, what did get accomplished and what didn't get accomplished? And the things that didn't get accomplished become the additional milestones for the next, in order to reach the next milestone. So why do we want to do this? Well, these are the benefits that you're going to eventually come up with. You're going to create a new revenue stream. You're going to improve your competitive position vis-a-vis your competition. You're repositioning your products and services for the future. And we've talked about several of them today. This can actually help you develop new markets. And by the way, you may end up with new distribution channels, because this may tie back into somebody else or some other company that says, hey, I love what you're doing. Let's try to merge that into what we're doing and create a strategic relationship moving forward for both of you. So the upshot of all of this is, periodically, you need to review your capabilities. Focus on your expertise, your processes, your technology, your existing products and services. But remember, you've got to need additional financial resources to make that happen. But the time to bring the financial resource in is after you've figured out what you want to do and estimate what it's going to cost to make it happen. Now, if you don't have the money now, you may have to stretch the timeline to implementation until you have the money available. But right now, during this period with COVID, one of the real keys is you have the opportunity to think about what are your current capabilities and how can they be used differently. And by the way, if you need an extra set of hands, we can certainly help you in that process. So now I'm going to go back to our agenda. I want to, with a show of hands, I'd love to, or thumbs up, I should say, I'm just going to review the agenda. and see if we've answered your questions or given you solutions around each of these particular areas. Number one is current situation. Have we discussed the current situation? If you got a thumbs up, great, let's move on. Where did we give you some ideas of where to look for hidden capabilities? Have we given you some thoughts about how to narrow the potential revenue streams? My focus, okay, in this particular area, what else do you do that you can sell to the same customer? Those are the things we want to focus in, because those are the things we can do the quickest and the easiest. What additional resources are you going to need in order to implement this new idea? And then a process to implement the most likely revenue stream. Okay, have we got a thumbs up that we've answered those questions?
I've been seeing some thumbs.
Great. Okay, now I know we're short on time, but I wanted to leave this open for you if anybody's got any additional questions.
All right. So while we wait for some comments to roll in, I do just want to say it is 12:46. So if people have to leave, understandable. If you have any additional questions for Allan, drop them in the chat. I just wanted to let you guys know I'm going to drop some links in the chat to keep an eye out on our Facebook and LinkedIn pages. We'll be posting about these daily webinars that we've been hosting. Tomorrow's is a virtual group fitness class at noon. I'm actually very excited for that one because I am terribly out of shape from this quarantine. So again, Allan, thank you so much for hosting this, and I hope we'll see you guys at the next webinar. Let me drop those links. And Allan, I'm going to link to your website as well.
Great, thank you.
Of course.
And one other thing that I'd like to share with folks is that this is that revenue, this is the initial set of questions that I asked you. If you would like this as a separate document, just send me an email and I will be very happy to send it to you. And at the same time, answer any questions you may have regarding this and how we might be able to help. And finally, thank you all for attending. Here's my contact information for future reference, and look forward to talking with you. And thank you so much for attending.
All right, I'm seeing some thank yous from chat, but I think we are good. So again, Allan, thank you so much for hosting. I will see all of you on the next webinar. Have a great day.